Hey, welcome back to a new video. Today, let's talk about some seriously massive creatures that used to roam our planet. These gigantic animals were once the kings and queens of their habitats, and they've always fascinated scientists and people all over the world. It might sound strange to say we're lucky they're gone, but it's because their existence was tied to some delicate balance of life on Earth. In this video, we'll hop into a time machine and learn about these incredible giants. We're talking about massive mammals, colossal reptiles, and birds so big they'd make today's eagles look tiny. Are you new to this channel? I really appreciate you subscribing and hitting the notification bell. Number 10. Giant shark. Megalodon. The megalodon, a massive shark that existed millions of years ago, holds the title of being the biggest shark ever to roam the seas and one of the largest fish known to science. Data indicates that fully grown megalodons averaged a length of 10.2 meters, approximately 33.5 feet, with the largest individuals measuring an astonishing 17.9 meters, 58.7 feet, long. Some experts even argue that the biggest megalodons might have reached lengths of up to 25 meters, 82 feet. Its scientific name, Otodus megalodon, translates to giant tooth, a fitting description because its teeth are nearly 3 times larger than those of today's great white sharks. These sharks are equipped with a jaw-dropping bite force. While humans typically have a bite force of around 1,317 newtons, scientists believe that the megalodon possessed a bite force ranging from 108,514 to 182,201 newtons. A megalodon's bite could crush a car. Studies suggest that adult megalodons had a body mass that ranged from about 30 metric tons, roughly 66,000 pounds, to over 65 metric tons, about 143,000 pounds, with adult females generally being larger in both length and weight compared to their male counterparts. This ancient predator ruled the ocean's food chain, primarily dining on large marine mammals like whales, dolphins, and possibly even other sharks. Megalodon bites were incredibly powerful, estimated to be at least 6 times stronger than those of the fearsome Tyrannosaurus rex and more forceful than any animal known to us. Number 9. Giant snake. Titanoboa. Titanoboa, the colossal snake of ancient times, was like the heavyweight champion of prehistoric reptiles, with a body as long and heavy as an incredibly stretched-out school bus. Scientists believe it resembled a boa constrictor in appearance, hence its name, but it had the hunting tactics of a crocodile. This remarkable creature thrived in the steamy jungles of South America around 5 million years after the dinosaurs disappeared. On average, these monstrous snakes reached a length of about 13 meters, 42.7 feet, and weighed around 1,135 kilograms, 1.25 tons. To put it in perspective, Titanoboa was twice as long and 4 times heavier than today's giant anacondas, which typically measure 25 feet long and weigh 500 pounds. In comparison to most modern snakes, Titanoboa was an absolute giant. The massive size of Titanoboa was closely linked to the climate of the Paleocene era. Like other cold-blooded animals, snakes' metabolic rates are influenced by the temperature of their surroundings. To grow to such enormous proportions, these snakes required a consistently warm environment, much like the one found during the Paleocene period. Despite its name, which suggests it strangled its prey like today's boa constrictors, Titanoboa had a more dramatic hunting style. It would stealthily approach its unsuspecting meal, often lurking half-submerged in the water, and then, with a sudden lunge, it would snap its colossal jaws around its victim's windpipe. Number 8. Giant sea turtle. Archelon. Archelon, which means ruler turtle in Greek. These were the largest turtles ever to roam our planet, and they dominated the seas from about 80 to 66 million years ago during the late Cretaceous period. These colossal sea turtles were truly impressive, with a body mass of around 4,900 pounds. Imagine them stretching up to 13.1 feet from their nose to their tail and spanning an incredible 16 feet wide from one flipper tip to the other. While their shells might have looked somewhat similar to those of modern sea turtles, they were different. Archelon's shells were lighter and more leathery, similar to the leatherback sea turtle. It's believed that their shells even had ridges, measuring about 1 to 2 inches in height. These marine giants had hooked beaks, similar to parrots, with powerful jaws that could crush their prey. Their front flippers were incredibly strong, almost like paddles, helping them glide through the water with ease. Archelon was a carnivore, and its hooked beak and powerful jaws were likely built for feasting on large mollusks, such as squid, that inhabited the seas during the late Cretaceous period. These turtles were true ocean rulers, and their adaptations made them formidable predators in their underwater realm. Number 7. Giant bird. Varam titan. Varam titan, which means big bird in both Malagasy and Greek, holds the title of the largest extinct bird ever and was the biggest member of the now extinct Epeornithidae family of large, flightless birds. These colossal creatures called Madagascar home during the late Quaternary period and sadly vanished sometime between the 13th and 17th centuries. Due to their enormous size, they are often referred to as elephant birds. These massive birds stood at an astonishing height of 3 meters, 9.8 feet, and weighed between 536 to 732 kilograms, 1,182 to 1,614 pounds. While it's not entirely certain, scientists believe that Varom titans were plant-eating birds that feasted on seeds and nuts, perhaps including forest coconut palms. Interestingly, their closest living relatives today are the kiwis from New Zealand. Unlike their herbivorous ancestors, kiwis are omnivores and consume a diet that includes worms, slugs, centipedes, insects, and plants. It's possible that Varom titans were opportunistic eaters, just like kiwis. What made Varom titan unique is that they couldn't fly. Instead of soaring through the skies, they relied on their incredibly strong legs, sharp beaks, and large claws to fend off any daring predators, although there weren't many until humans arrived on the scene. Tragically, human activities led to the destruction of their habitats, hunting for their meat and feathers, and the consumption of their massive eggs, contributing to their eventual extinction. Number 6. Giant crocodile, Sarcosuchus. Sarcosuchus, which translates to flesh crocodile, is like a distant cousin to today's crocodiles. It's probably the biggest crocodile-like creature that ever existed on our planet. Imagine this, it likely stretched out to a whopping 12 meters, that's around 40 feet, in length, with a head the size of a grown person. Unlike the modern crocs that stopped growing after a certain point, Sarcosuchus just kept on getting bigger even when it reached adulthood. That's why some believe it could have been as long as 40 feet and weighed over 10 tons. What's really incredible is its jaw strength. It could have packed a bite force of up to 9 tons, which is way more powerful than any crocodile we see today. In fact, it could even outbite a Tyrannosaurus rex, one of the most fearsome dinosaurs ever. Sarcosuchus earned the nickname King Croc for a reason. It was so massive that it might have been able to leap out of the water and snatch a fully grown sauropod, those enormous long-necked dinosaurs, right into the water. Its diet was pretty versatile too. It could have gobbled up anything from fish to other crocs, and yes, even dinosaurs. Number 5. Giant bear, Arctotherium. Arctotherium, which translates to bear beast, is an extinct group of South American bears that lived from the late Pliocene to the end of the Pleistocene period. These bears were like the bodybuilders of the bear world, incredibly strong and robust. Some of them could reach lengths of around 4 meters, that's about 13 feet, stand about 2 meters tall at the shoulders, around 6.5 feet, and tip the scales at a whopping 2,200 kilograms. Out of all the different short-faced bear species, Arctotherium angustidens, also known as the giant short-faced bear, takes the crown as the largest bear ever known to roam the earth. Just imagine this. One of these colossal creatures could have weighed somewhere between 2,162 and 3,500 pounds and could stand up to an incredible 11 feet tall on its hind legs. To put that in perspective, the biggest polar bear ever recorded weighed about 2,200 pounds. And here's a fun fact. Their arms were about 3 times longer than a human's. When you picture Arctotherium, think of a bear that's somewhat similar in appearance to today's spectacled bear. They had fairly large bodies, snouts that might seem short because of their deep faces, and roundish ears. While it's believed that their snout length might be a bit of an illusion, these bears had medium-sized jaws and teeth. That suggests they had a varied diet, munching on both meat and plants. So, they were kind of like the omnivores of the bear world, enjoying a mix of foods. Number 4. Giant fish, Dunkleistus. Dunkleistus, known as Dunkel's bone, was a huge fish that lived during the late Devonian period, which was around 382 to 358 million years ago. This fish was no small fry. It could grow up to 4.1 meters, that's about 12.3 feet, long. Back in its day, Dunkleistus was the undisputed top predator, not just ruling its time but also the entire Paleozoic era. Imagine Dunkleistus torelli, the largest and most ferocious fish in the Age of Fishes during the Devonian period. It was like the boss of the subtropical waters. Some estimates suggest it could have reached lengths of up to 20 feet and weighed over a ton. This armored fish was so tough that it could make a meal out of prehistoric sharks. Now, let's talk about Dunkleistus' jaw-dropping features. It had this massive skull with thick, bony plates and 2 sets of fawn-like protrusions near the front of its super-strong jawbones. When it bit down, it could generate a force of up to 7,400 newtons, N, making its bite one of the most powerful ever known. putting it in the same league as Tyrannosaurus rex and modern crocs. What's more, Dunkleosteus could open its mouth incredibly fast, in just 1/50th of a second. This created a powerful suction that sucked its prey right into its mouth, a technique still used by some advanced fish today. Despite being a heavy-duty fish, Dunkleosteus wasn't known for its speed. It was probably a relatively slow but incredibly powerful swimmer. In terms of evolution, Dunkleosteus was at the top of its game during the Devonian period. It was one of the earliest fish with jaws, and instead of regular teeth, it had these long, bony blades that extended from its jaw. These blades could slice through flesh and snap bones, and they even sharpened themselves every time Dunkleosteus closed its mouth, kind of like how rodent teeth work. So, you could say it was a real prehistoric powerhouse in the underwater world. Number 3. Giant centipede, Arthropleura. Arthropleura, which means jointed ribs, was this massive, centipede-like critter that roamed the Earth during the Carboniferous period about 320 to 299 million years ago. It holds the title of being the largest land-dwelling arthropod ever. Just picture this, Arthropleura was like a gigantic millipede, stretching out to a whopping 2.5 meters, that's about 8.2 feet, in length, as long as a small car. To top it off, it was decked out in some seriously tough, armored plating. Its body was flat and had lots of segments, kind of like a train made up of armored plates. Each of these segments had 3 tough plates, one on its belly and the other 2 on its sides. This armor wasn't just for show, it helped protect Arthropleura from all sorts of environmental hazards. If you look at its head, you'd spot 2 big antennae sticking out. Despite its somewhat menacing appearance, Arthropleura was more of an all-eater, meaning it could chow down on both plants and maybe some other critters too. Surprisingly, this giant wasn't one for big family gatherings. It was more of a solitary type and pretty much ruled the top of its food chain. Now, let's talk about defense. Arthropleura had some serious armor on its back, making it super tough. Plus, its jaws could deliver a nasty bite if it needed to. But here's the interesting part, it's unlikely that this colossal crawler had any venom or poison to add to its arsenal. So, while it looked pretty intimidating, it probably relied more on its size and armor to stay safe and grab a meal. Number 2. Giant squid, Camarasaurus. Camarasaurus is often seen as one of, if not the largest, orthocone cephalopods ever to roam the oceans. Unfortunately, we don't have exact measurements, only estimates of how big this creature might have been. In more recent times, toward the end of the 20th century, experts estimated that the shell of Camarasaurus could have been around 6 meters long. However, if we look back to earlier in the 20th century, some estimates suggest it might have reached an astonishing 9 to 11 meters in length. Even if we go with the more conservative 6-meter estimate, Camarasaurus still stands out as one of the biggest cephalopods ever known, especially considering it lived way back in the Ordovician period. Now, let's talk about what kind of critter Camarasaurus was. It belonged to the cephalopod family, which includes modern-day creatures like octopuses, squids, and cuttlefish. Given its colossal size, it's a good bet that Camarasaurus was at the very top of the ocean food chain, an apex predator. It likely feasted on other nautiloids, similar to today's nautilus, and large eurypterids, ancient sea scorpions. But here's the interesting part, with its long, hefty shell, it probably wasn't a fast-moving, active hunter. Instead, Camarasaurus might have been more of a sit-and-wait type of predator. It might have hung around, waiting for its prey to come close, or it could have even done some bottom crawling or floating to find its meals on the seafloor. So, even though it was massive, it might not have been the fastest swimmer in the ancient seas. Number 1. Giant ape, Gigantopithecus. Gigantopithecus blacki is often considered the biggest ape to ever walk the earth. This massive primate called southern China home during the first part of the Pleistocene epoch. Now, when we talk about what Gigantopithecus looked like, people often say it was like a giant gorilla, but that's not quite accurate. It actually had more in common with orangutans, not gorillas. Picture this, it was estimated to be about 25% larger than the gorillas we see today. So, we're talking about a colossal creature that could have weighed somewhere between 600 to 660 pounds and stood a towering 9 feet tall. Gigantopithecus was probably all about life in the forests because it had these super strong teeth built for grinding and chewing leaves and other plants. So, it likely munched on a vegetarian diet. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Some folks who are into cryptozoology, which is all about mythical creatures, have this idea that Gigantopithecus didn't just disappear from the subtropical forests back in the day. Instead, they believe it moved to more remote, mountainous areas and eventually evolved into what we know as Bigfoot or the Yeti. But it's important to note that there's no real evidence to support this idea, except for the fact that these creatures might have looked somewhat like our popular image of Bigfoot. So, it's kind of a mystery, but a fascinating one at that. That wraps up our list of the the top 10 gigantic and fascinating creatures from Earth's distant past. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Which of these ancient giants would you bring back if you could? Or do you think they might still be out there somewhere, waiting to be found? Thanks for joining me, and stay curious. See you in the next video.